Hi YouTube, Mr. Livery here. We are standing outside Cooma. This is the Cooma Airport service station where you can buy fuel, mostly. We are going to use it to walk into the airport. Change of aeroplane today. We'll be flying the Piper Cherokee. Hi there, Alexander. Nice to hear that you've got an air rally coming on to VATSIM. We do have a few pretty cool airports around, and we'll be ending this trip today at one of those. Not that Cooma isn't a good airport, but I think Moruya is just special, a little bit better than this one. As usual, having some little issues with the guy bouncing off to the direction. Just run around. There's a few spots where you can't walk through. Okay, coming up here we've got the hangars and the fuel farm. There's Mobile Australia, aviation, fuel. We've already picked up fuel from here and filled it up over the week, so we should have a full aircraft once we get out there. And hello to Terrell Lipa. I'm doing well. It's 7 PM on a Sunday, and we're doing our last flight of the weekend before we head off to work tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be doing the return flight of the 747, Qantas 438 from Melbourne to Sydney. There's Cooma Snowy Mountains Airport. And that over there is our aeroplane, Hotel Tango Mike. An aeroplane that I've flown in the real world. From the left seat. Weather's really nice and clear out here today, so it'll be good to do some flying. Might even do a little bit more of a tour of the Snowy Mountains. We didn't really get to see much of it last couple of times we flew up here, mostly because of the clouds. First time we flew up here was almost IMC. And last week it was, well, we just got to the edge of it really. Anywho, going to go ahead and open the door here. Exit is open. Cool. Just going to take my jacket off. Hi there, RC Tested. How are you doing? A little bit warmer inside the aeroplane than outside. To be honest, I've just been a little bit warmer than I expected to be. There is apparently one issue here that I don't have my controls set up for some reason. Really? Okay then. Down here I'm just going to pull the flaps. That's the ratchet handle there. Apparently don't have the sound on. Yeah, there we go. So the it's just a weighted ratchet handle. You click it in and it falls down like that. That will push the flaps into the down position. Cool, just do the walk around. Check the log. Beautiful shape, good stuff. Just empty the plane again. Okay, the flaps look fine to me on this side. Hinges are fine. No tie down on it today. Gotta take the chocks off. Full tanks. All the way to the rim. 6 quarts of good looking oil. Tyre looks fine. Propeller looks fine. And there's nothing stuck in the grills there. That's the easiest one to get to. Once again, a full tank of fuel. That's the hard one to get to. You have to kind of climb under the aeroplane and stick your thing into it. While you're down here, you might as well pull them away. That's cool. Pitot cover is off. Pitot is clear. Control looks fine. And the flaps. Now here's an interesting bit. There's the trim tab, and this is the stabilator. It's an entirely moving surface. The whole stabilizer elevator all moves as one single whole big unit. Then you have the little trim tab at the back of it, which will help fly the wing into place. Works a little bit like a Mad Dog, except the Mad Dog, of course, has a stabilizer, which is the big trim thing. So Mad Dog's really got 3 sections to this. The Piper's only got 2 sections. It's a little bit of a unique setup. The only other airplanes that tend to have a stabilator like that are the F-16s and fighter jets. Yes, the toilets are ready for workforce tomorrow. Well, they better be. Okay, I've locked the boot and we're about to get in the aeroplane. Okay, I'll jump over to the pilot seat. Over the window. Airplane's been in the sun for a while, so it's nice to do that. Gonna go ahead and close the door here. Actually, I'm gonna drop the flaps again. Flaps don't need any power, so battery is off. You can just move the flaps at will. It's a great design. I don't know much about flying GA in Europe. I'll have to study it more. Don't have any Brussels Centre either. Okay, the door is half closed. The top lock isn't latched yet. You'll need to do that, otherwise it tends to flop open a bit. So there we go. Just adjust my height. Cool. So let's have a look at our checklist. So normally we prime the engine. Need to chuck in a few bits and pieces here. And you can prime the engine without starting anything. What I'm going to do here though is move that through a couple of cycles, just crack it open slightly. Unlocking the primer. And I say give it 3 good pumps. Now with with Mike Hotel Golf, we have this issue where if you lock the primer again, the engine tends not to start, so we leave it unlocked until the engine has started. Then you lock it again. It's just a weird thing. That shouldn't happen. It's not happened with any other airplane that I've ever flown. But it's almost like clockwork. If you lock the thing, you won't be able to start the engine on your first go. Okay. All of that is fine. Upon entering the cabin, weight and balance. Well, I weigh too much and I'm sitting on this side of the cockpit, so we're not really that balanced. And we've got full tanks, so there's not much we can do about it. Close and secure the cabin door. Done. Control wheel lock is removed. Oh, we have VFR charts. What you need to do is go into Air Australia /AIP. Just search AIP in Google and you'll find this. And you'll click on AIP charts and you'll have the ERCs and the PECs and the VNCs and the VTCs. Now VTC is this chart, which is a wonderful little thing. You won't get it for everywhere in Australia, but anywhere around controlled airspace has a map like this. We'll barely be using ours today, but we are coming up to Moruya, which is there. So probably next week we're going to be tracking out of Moruya, going through Captain's Flat up towards Canberra. In fact, I'm considering moving through Tharwa, through Cotta, around to the north, Murray Bateman, then shooting down into Canberra from there, just to go around the city. But yeah, the info is essentially, this is a map. There's reporting points, which are those little things called Captain's Flat, Mackelago, etc. And if you zoom in there, you'll see some underlined letters, and if you chuck them into your GPS, that should come up as a waypoint. So Captain's Flat, you put CAPT into your GPS and that'll show up. CLL means the controlled lower level. So if you're above 5,500, you need to be talking to air traffic control and get clearance to get in there. If you're below 5,500 in that area, just go. Just fly wherever you want. Anyhow, controls, I'll just check them. Free and correct. Cool. AVAX master switch is off. Ignition is off. Fuel quantity is full. Fuel selector to either tank, I don't care. Flaps. They are retracted. Elevator trim is down there somewhere. But you can see an indication here. Hey, that's right. It's not an Archer, it's this one. So up on the roof you've got the neutral. I'm going to sit neutral for the takeoff. Right about there. And the beacon on once we have power. Actually, I might as well chuck it on now even though there's no power. Rotating beacon. Yeah, for your outside controlled airspace, sometimes you can request radar flight following if you're inside radar area. Sometimes you're not. If you're outside of radar area, you might have ADS-B. It's legally required these days, so if they catch you on ADS-B, you can just do flight following. It works the same as VFR flight following in the USA, because Australia's airspace is Kind of a weird hybrid of ICAO and USA. ICAO FAA. It's a weird hybrid thing that we've got going. Engine starting, wheel brakes, well, the parking brake is set. Fuel selector is set. Master switch goes on. There we are. Electric fuel pump. Certainly working. Primer's been done. Mixture is fully rich. Throttle is cracked open a little. Clear ignition and then starter. Cool. So with the ignition, we need to set that up to both. Looking around, there's no one here today in Cooma. I'll yell out just in case someone's hiding underneath the aeroplane. Clear prop! Good start. There we go. And I'm going to lean that out quite aggressively. So we lose 100 RPM. Bring it back a little. And grab that. Flight plan. So I'm intending to go to Adaminaby. So ADM, something like that. 80Y. So just fly over Lake Accu-sim, which is that lake just south of Adaminaby. It might come down as far as Jindabyne, maybe not, depends how we feel. And then we'll shoot straight down. Yeah, we'll see Jindabyne. I keep talking about Lake Jindabyne every time I fly over on Milk Run Monday. So we will fly over Lake Jindabyne towards Jindabyne itself. That's weird. Okay. Airplane's vibrating my desk. That's brilliant. So, YJIN. Hi there, Nick S. And yes, I do like this airplane as well. This is my favourite. I've flown an Archer 2. It's pity we don't have a good Archer 2. There's a really bad one from FS9. But there's an Archer 3 floating around, and Archer 3s are just weird, man. I don't like them. Got nothing on the Archer 2s. Archer 2s are where it's at. Okay, YMER. YMRY. We are there. Cool. So there's our map. Yes, the cowboy. Because the trim's up here on the roof. I do like the Archer 2s better because the trim is down here between essentially where that is. It's hard to get to sometimes. It looks like you're trying to, you know, feel up your passenger, but it's just a little easier down there instead of doing this. Yes, I do have work tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning. Okay, looking at the there we go. Should be 40, so this is obviously nowhere near that. That swung around quite significantly. 40, about there. Done. Rest of the checklist. Ah, cool. So we're pretty much done with that portion of the checklist. Let's turn these things on and we'll get moving. What is the CTAF? Come on, CTAF. Ah, we have centers online. Cool. Pity we're not going to use them. CTAF is 118.1. Okay, transponder is in. We are ready to move. Sorted. Just realised I hadn't logged into VATSIM yet. Let's chuck in our actual VFR flight plan. Coming out of YCOM, we're going to YMRY, YMER as the alternate. It's about 1 hour 30 minutes. Got about 3 hours 30 minutes. We're definitely not going to be going 400 knots. We're going to be 115, maybe 110. Flight, again, 5,500 is our max altitude today. PBN, we don't have any of that business. In fact, we don't have any of that business at all. Do have some nav stuff though. It's going to be an A1. Yeah, I know what date it is. Registration is VH-HTM. There's no EETs today because we're all in the same FIR. No SELCAL. We're not operating. Actually, we kind of are. This airplane is owned by the R2F Richmond Flying Club. Have a PA, and we don't have a TCAS filed. Technically, we didn't even need to do that, but whatever. It's a flight notification. I'm sure it's gone somewhere. I'm going to taxi with my window open. Remind me before we go. Outside control service CTR. Oh, I'm really bad at it, so don't take me as a good example of how to do flight following, but we do have controllers online. So once we've done our little tour of Jindabyne and stuff, I might request it. Alright, I'll do it. I hate doing it, but we'll do it. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to find my phraseology stuff. Just coming up towards the runway. Once we come to a stop up here, we're going to make a broadcast. Flight following. We don't need clearance, but we do need following. Cool. I'll read that while we're flying. Yeah, we have magnetic deviation, but I'm setting this to the magnetic deviation. I don't want to. We're flying a VFR today, mate. We're not flying IFR stuff. Anyhow, what I do need is a the weather. So currently Cooma QNH 1022. There it is. Temperature 7 degrees. Wind 320 at 7. So we'll be using a runway 36 on this runway, which means we're facing exactly the wrong direction. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, a Piper Cherokee is taxiing runway 36 to do a full run up at the Alpha holding point. Hotel Tango Mike. You can turn on pitot heat. I've got it on for the moment at 7 degrees, so yeah, we're not really going to be flying into icing conditions though, are we? Okay, what I want to do is turn around a little bit so we're facing into the wind, just a little. Come to a stop. Close that. Got more into the wind, there we go. Full rich, and I'm going to do our run-up check. 7,800. That's a bit much, that was 19. 18. 1,800 seems good. Single magneto looks okay. And the other one? Just about right. Gonna open up the carby heat. Yep, looks good, and we'll drop it. I don't have the new VATsim voice frequencies, but I'm practicing as if I do. No one's around, so no one can hear me. Cool. I'm happy to start moving. Traffic Cooma. Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Archer, taxis runway 36 to enter and backtrack. Traffic Cooma. Right, so for our first bit today, we'll be taking off from Cooma on runway 36. We're going to be making a slight left-hand turn to fly over Lake Yukonbean. We'll be looking at Lake Yukonbean while flying around Adamantui, and then tracking down towards Jindabyne. We'll see Jindabyne Lake. It should be covered by snow or surrounded by snow, and then we'll head down to the beach. Nick S, I've done a bit of the actual flying, but I haven't done it for at least 5 years. So I haven't done any flying actively for 5 years, and in that time I haven't been a full PPL licensed pilot, just been a student pilot. There was a time more than a decade ago that I did a GFPT. Passed that, did some solos, ran out of money, ran out of medical. But there's a current system that I could get a recreational pilot's license without a full medical. So if I were to ever become rich, I would probably do that. Yes, I do miss it. Very much so. Well, the good thing about the voice Unicom that they're implementing, it's more like a voice CTAF. It's limited by range. So once you go like 20 miles away from an airport, you won't be able to talk to anybody at that airport anymore. So unless they're sitting there at the gate talking to someone, and if someone is sitting at the gate talking to someone, you just switch to another frequency. It's like, come on, cut it out. No, we're not going to cut it out. Alright, bye. Now you're on your own Unicom frequency of 128.3575 or something. Gotta love that 0.3 kilohertz spacing. I'm on a runway, I should probably have more lights on. There we go. Okay, reviewing the takeoff, we are getting airborne at about 55 to 60 knots. We'll be climbing away at 75. Flaps will be out for the takeoff. We're a single engine aeroplane. Ground check is done. Seatbelts are fastened. Door is closed. Flight controls are free and correct. Elevator trim is set for takeoff. Carby heat is off. Fuel selector is on. The tank we started with. Electric fuel pump on for the takeoff. Engine gauges are normal and the wing flaps are up. Takeoff checks are complete. Crashing on final is what we do with the old PC. That's what old PCs are for. That's what FSX is for. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee is departing runway 36 Cooma. Sort of set a little bit into the side a bit. Here we go. $75. How much have I spent on my flight simming? Way too much. Way too much. Thousands of dollars. Maybe not hundreds of thousands, but certainly in the tens of thousands, if you include the PCs as well. I've got two PCs sitting right next to me, including the old one that I used to fly on, and yeah, together just the PCs by themselves cost about $3,500, nearly $4,000 together, and that doesn't include add-ons, the sims themselves, scenery, weather, all of that. Yeah, yesterday's Heathrow taxi simulator was quite fun. If you're sitting there watching how you do a taxi in an aeroplane, including worrying about the fuel for takeoff. Like our minimum takeoff fuel was within maybe 1/2 of a ton of fuel. We couldn't run two engines and have taken off yesterday. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee is departing straight ahead. Traffic Cooma. The thing is, most people don't fly on the voiced Unicom on the big airports, but I think in Australia you'll find a large community of people more interested in doing this kind of thing with the voiced Unicom. So if we can get more people out of their jets and into their propellers, singles, Pipers and Cessnas and stuff, that'll be a good thing, in my opinion. And having a voice Unicom is part of that, in my opinion. There's some of that white stuff on the ground. That's what we came for. Alright, we're climbing up to 5,500 and we'll probably stay about there for most of the flight today. Yeah, the sim did crash a few hours into that, which is unfortunate. But the other unfortunate thing is that air traffic controllers didn't show up. so I had no reason to get back in. Like, if the full complement of air traffic control had shown up last night, I totally would have started from somewhere else, maybe taken off from Milan or Frankfurt or something. Anything. Totally would have respawned into that. There was traffic galore. Problem is there's no air traffic controllers to control the stuff, so what's the point of being there? I'll also go to bed, wake up next morning and fly down to Puerto Rico like we did. Alpha Bravo 6, last night's flight did not go very well at all. The taxi went well, that took an hour and a half. And then we got airborne and all the air traffic controllers weren't there, and then the sim crashed, so I kind of sat around for an hour just checking if maybe some European controllers would come online, and they never did, so I might use X-Plane one day, but it's not to save money on add-ons, it'll be to spend money on MD-11s. Because I hear that there's an MD-11 under development for X-Plane 11, and as soon as that hits the market, I am going to be flying X-Plane 11 out of Memphis in an MD-11. X-Plane 11, MD-11, makes sense to me. Since we're going to be spending quite a bit of time at 5,500, I'm going to lean out at the moment. See that EGT meter. Overleaned. Come back up. There we go. Yep. That's one good thing about flying simulators. You don't have to worry about the massive loudness that is the inside of a light aeroplane. Up in front of us is Lake Eucumbene. EUC, is it 2 U's? EUCUMBINE. It is 2 U's. Eucumbene. Technically that's a man-made lake. There is part of the Snowy River, the Snowy Dam. Effectively that's the start of the Snowy River. I guess it starts in the snow melt above it, but the Snowy River flows through here as Lake Eucumbene, and then it gets turned into hydroelectrical power as it rolls down the hills. Yeah, I saw the MD-11 that Sky Simulations and sent out. Isn't there a better one that's like on the way, or was it released already? V2 or something? I don't know. I'll have to review that, but if there's a really good actually working MD-11 that's up to the scratch of PMDG, I'll buy that. Yes, there was an EasyJet that came within a few, well, I literally had to respond to a TCAS last night. And I descended 1,000 feet, and then he actually started coming down with us for some reason. Maybe he got a TCAS to descend as well. But yeah, I was sitting there at like 35,000 feet and had to go down to 34, which is against the flow. And then the aircraft that I was descending to get away from also started descending. But yeah, that was last night. It was hilarious. This is a mountain lake. It's not salty. It's basically snow runoff. That's all that snow that's below us right now. Once it melts, it goes into the lake, and then that lake becomes hydroelectrical power for New South Wales and Canberra and bits of Victoria. So here is the top of the hydroelectric scheme in Australia. Essentially the top. So I'll do one lap around the lake, and then we'll head down south to the next lake downhill in the scheme, which is Lake Jindabyne. The old 777 and X-plane. Yeah, I've seen a few other streamers and YouTubers use it. PMDG's better, obviously. Obviously. Oh, all the air traffic controllers went away. Damn it. Sorry to that person who was wanting a demonstration of flight following. I guess the air traffic controllers got out of that. If we really wanted to, we can do it on a Monday. Possibly tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow. Yeah, maybe. Actually, I don't know how to get that. Yes, I have done the MD-82. It's one of my favourite. I like the MD-88 version as well, which I fly more because Delta Airlines is better than American. And there is no decent A380 for any sim that I know of. Meta's making one, that's Matt Davies. I'm not sure how far that's going along. It might be released in 2095 as far as I know. So how to request the service. To request flight following, you must be in direct VHF communications with air traffic control. You must also be equipped with a serviceable SSR transponder or ADS-B transmitter and remain within the service, the surveillance coverage. So right now I think we'd just be in the service coverage, but it depends on where mountains are in relation to radar heads. And there's a lot of mountains around here, and there's not many radar heads, so we'd probably need to be up around... Actually, I know this for a fact. I flew with Arjun in a Cessna 182 once, and we were cruising at 10,500 feet, and they lost us on radar around this area, so we'd have to be much higher than we are now to remain inside the area that air traffic control can offer flight following them, or closer to the coast where there's no mountains. So once we were down on the coastline, we'd be able to request it. Apparently you just use VASA service required, which is traffic or flight following. There we go. So Melbourne Centre, Hotel Tango Mike, requesting flight following, and then they'd give us a squawk code, and then air traffic control would request our position and altitude and our intentions. So Hotel Tango Mike, squawk code, blah 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 blah, and advise intentions. And so Hotel Tango Mike is whatever, 5,500 over Adamandaby, tracking to Merimbula via Jindabyne, 5,500, something like that. They'd say you're identified on radar, and then any time that there was air traffic close to us, for instance if there was another airplane that had flight following, or an IFR aircraft flying overhead that was within a couple of thousand feet of us, they'd just let us know. And yes, there's a few different options. Flight following is like continuous service as long as you're inside the radar or ADS-B coverage area. And then there's traffic surface, which is for airports and stuff, and position service to let us know where we are in case you got lost or weren't quite sure. They'd give you a bearing compared to like a vector essentially to your destination or your next waypoint. Traffic, obviously, if there's other airplanes around you, where it is. For instance, there's another Cessna 172 at 8,000 feet currently overhead, wherever it is. I might try X-Plane 11 one day. it's one of those things that I need to consider. In 2 weeks, we'll be so close to this area again because we'll be heading back south after Canberra. There's a tiny... Ah, come on. Sim's been shitty today. Sim has been very crappy today. I think my system needs a bit of a reboot. Maybe we'll try X-Plane sooner than we thought. Who wants to try this again? That's the third crash I've had today. Well, this weekend at least. We had the crash. Out of London. We had the other one that was today out of New York as well. Out of Cooma though? In a Cherokee? Are you kidding? I'm thinking hard. Because we're 45 minutes into it. I haven't had this many crashes in V4 before this weekend. So, saying it's V4, I don't think so. V3 crashed if you sneezed at it the wrong way. Yep, we had a crash again. I'm just thinking about not maybe continuing, but then the weather's going to be probably worse next time, so it'd be nice to have the nice weather. Just because it'd be nice to have a clean clean video of the entire tour. Yeah, skip routing around the lake, that's all right. We'll head straight down to Jindy. We'll do Lake Accu-sim another day. Yeah, we had a sim crash again. I have to possibly investigate why that one was. I know the last one that we had was because of chase plane. No idea what happened on the English flight. Today's flight, well, I'll have to spend a few days checking out that, because it's the easiest flight in the world for the system. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's 3 this weekend that we've had. And I've somehow lost all my sound. Alright, back into the aeroplane. And then we'll start up with the engines running. So, just checking a few things. QNH was 1022. Set. Oh, that happened again. 040 on the DG. Kill. Rotating beacon is in. Clear prop. Try that again, but we're now going to skip Lake Convene and Livery. Just straight down to YMER. No, that's it. Done. Yep, do it all over again. That's taxi. At least the 118.1 got remained in there. Of course, we lost vPilot. Let's pick that up. Seem to have lost maybe ActiveSky connection as well. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, there's a Piper Cherokee, taxiing runway 36 Cooma via Alpha. What's that, Kingaroy? Ah, that thing, yes. The VFR guys. Right, window is closed. Mixture fully rich. Up we come to 1800 RPM. That's cool. Just gonna lean out. And down we go. .600 RPM. Brakes released. We'll enter the runway. Traffic, Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Archer, Cherokee. Entering runway 36 to backtrack. There's some Adelaide stuff happening down there. Quick and easy airplane. All the lights are in. No controllers online this time. I'm gonna fly it probably tomorrow. When did you get 16th of August out of? Have I got an event scheduled for 16th of August? Better not have. No, not really. No, we're not. We're going to skip the Lake Accu-sim. We're going to make a downwind departure. Straight down to Lake Jindabyne. My calendar. Let's see what's not on my calendar at the moment. Oh, that's right. My calendar doesn't have much on it. No, it'll fill up tomorrow. I've got milk run tomorrow, and then I might do something on the 3rd. There is a Friday night operations on the 3rd, which is, let's see, 10 AM, I think. There we go, just added one more. Minneapolis, done. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee, departing runway 36 on downwind. Let's go. .75 knots on the climb. Uh, 1700 UTC is about 3 in the morning for me, 3 AM. Traffic Cooma, Hotel Tango Mike is turning downwind to leave the circuits, 4,500. Hotel Tango Mike. So I wouldn't really consider 3 in the morning to be that comfortable. Depends what it is. If it's guaranteed to have heaps of air traffic control and one of the best VATsim experiences of ever, then probably. And Rossi QA, yeah, tomorrow I do intend to be flying the 747 Melbourne to Sydney. Yes, I do live in Melbourne. Not far from Essendon. There's Jindabyne. We'll head towards Jindabyne just to take a look at the lake. I often point it out when we're in the milk runs, especially the ones going down to Melbourne, since we tend to fly just off to the right hand side of the lake. You can be on Jindabyne, but Jindabyne's the one I normally point out. The road from Cooma town to the snowy area, which is usually Perisher or Smiggins Valley, actually goes past the airport and Jindabyne Lake, so it's quite fun to go on that road down to the snow, passing the little airport that we just took off from and all that stuff. I often hear helicopters flying directly overhead my house, and also light aeroplanes about this size. Since I do that. We've used quite a bit of the right hand tank. I'm quite keen to go to the left hand tank. Fuel is on left hand tank. We'll leave the pump on for a couple of seconds. Seems to be going well. Pump is off. And yes, I live the high and low autopilot modes. The high tries to track the course very like on course, whereas the low version, I think it's like 10 miles off course is okay for it. So you want to use high mode most of the time. I don't see any reason for low mode unless you're just not caring where you are really. I believe that might be Jindabyne town. Can't be sure of it. Aaron asked me which AFL team do I support. I was brought up in Sydney, so I lived in Sydney for most of my life, so I feel like I've adopted a team rather than being born into it. Obviously, Essendon is my closest team, physically, and also Essendon's, I guess I'd call it mascot, is an aeroplane, and I'm not even kidding. It's a bomber of some sort. Essendon Bombers. This is kind of an odd name for a team, but you know, they do mean the kind of bomber that flies in the sky, and the current logo resembles a B-1 swing wing supersonic low altitude bomber. So the fact that my closest physical team happens to have an aeroplane as its logo. Of course, the other joke is Go Cats. Because Tiger Airlines used to use the call sign Go Cat. Scoot still does. So, Go Cat. Now if we look down here, we can see that township right there off the wing. This massive ridge line right in front of us, which gains about 500, nah, not even 500, maybe 200 feet of altitude over that escarpment. And then on top of the escarpment is this lake, which is higher than that ground down there. Yeah, that AS365 with the Autopilot was actually developed originally for Flight Sim 9, FS9. And it kind of almost works in FSX, but I'm not sure if it really works in P3D at all. Anyway, we're going to sit here at about 6,000 feet, just going to pull out a little bit of mixture. Let's get that EGT moving up. That might be a little bit too much. Just go a little richer. There we go. Alex Cube, welcome aboard. That said, I haven't flown helicopters in the sim for seriously any period of time. Maybe we'll add one to the tour. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And Jason McClellan, flying's alright. Sim crashes have happened again. One a day. Two a day. For the last 2 days. It's getting annoying. Anyhow, this is Lake Jindabyne, and that's Jindabyne, the township on the edge of a lake. Yeah, poor old Aerospatiale. Would have been nice. It's a nice helicopter, it's just a bad product. In Flight Sim, obviously. Yeah, I'll have to review the helicopters, see which ones are actually worth buying, if there are any, and use one of them. I think Milvy's had a, was it McDonnell Douglas helicopter of some sort? Not sure if that's any good or not, but worth a check. Again, this is a Lake Jindabyne, also part of the Snowy River, Snowy Hydroelectric scheme. Lake Jindabyne, I can't remember if this was man-made or I think it's based on a real lake that's been expanded by dams. But yeah, it's all part of the whole Snowy hydroelectricity scheme. Most of the Snowy River is dammed to the wazoo, providing hydroelectricity, like dams that provide electrical power through hydroelectric generation. Yeah, having no autopilot's fine, as long as the aeroplane's stable and flies well. And being able to put one of these in it would be quite nice as well. So, just a question, do you have a helicopter that you can insert the particularly GTN 650 in, or even the 750? I'd like to do that. Back up to the snow. Just going to tap the snow and say hi, and we'll run off to the coast after this. I might even climb higher, 7,500 for the coast. Going to go to maximum power and start climbing again. You do short flights in the no water-powered helicopter, it's not too bad. Maybe something like visuals around one of the major city centres. Melbourne, when we get back there. Do a little bit of a helicopter tour of Melbourne. That'll be fun. Maybe even Canberra. because we're going to be in Canberra the week after next. So maybe, yeah, what week could that be? The 11th? Maybe on the 11th we can do a helicopter tour of Canberra. Or maybe I'm not that crazy. And instead of doing that, we'll come down to this little airfield up here, Australia's highest runway. It's a tiny little dirt runway that's often covered in snow. It's a shut town now. Well, let's double check the name of the town. Cool. B222, I might have a look at it. Aaron doing the old Airbus coming out. Yes, that's a nice nice idea. Cabramurra. Now if you've got your Googles out, look at Cabramurra, C-A-B-R-A-M-U-R-R-A. When we leave Canberra in 2 weeks' time, we're going to head down to Cabramurra and do a touch and go on their now closed airport runway, which is a tiny little strip. It's in the OBS scenery. Then we'll head off to Yass or something. Anyway, there is Jindabyne. It's a nice town. A lot of the people, you essentially have to drive through Jindabyne from Cooma to get to the snowy, the better snowfields at Perisher, which are down there somewhere. It's very nice, world-renowned, well, it's not a world-renowned, but it's a New South Wales area for skiing. Nice slopes, called Perisher Valley. Anyhow, we now head away from the hills, climbing up to 7005. Alex Cube, I would like flying into Russia. I've done it a couple of times, not enough. And unfortunately the Russians are awake when I'm not. But yeah, I have occasionally gone down there, not very often. Usually for world flight. If world flight goes through Russia, then we'll go through Russia. Yeah, I just need more scenery for the place. A lot of the freeway scenery is available from VATsim US. That's pretty cool. Krakow. 18 hours, full ATC. Might look into it. Thanks for that, Alex. Where's the post for that? Is that in the VATsim calendar? Or the VATsim events, whatever they call it? Let's have a look. It is indeed TMA Real Ops Krakow. Yeah, I'll give that a look. Thanks for the heads up. That's certainly a time frame I can do. About 2 in the afternoon my time. Okay. Done. Yeah. 2 in the afternoon on Saturday. That's doable. Right after Real Up, after the Northern Migration. The event immediately above it, I'll do them. I'm intending to do both of those. So one finishes at 4 and that's when that one starts. So that works pretty good. Works pretty good indeed. I need to climb properly on this aeroplane. I'm kind of meandering around at 100 feet a minute climb rate. That's not good. And the problem with the Real Ops events is often you don't get any support from the areas around you. So it's almost like you have to fly out and then disappear into the ether and come back. It's like contact Unicom on boring point boring. Spotter HD coming up in Moruya. Chris Keo. It's got a Garmin Comms 2 now. Ooh, that's interesting. That's not something I would have expected to have seen in that plane. I used to know the old thing before it even had a Garmin GPS of any description on it. Had that old Apollo thing stuck in the corner. That I don't think could be used at all. So yeah, when we used to fly it in about 2012, old HTM, it's just a stack of these things, the KX 155s. To the Russian, yeah, that's the main reason I don't fly to Russia, is because there's no air traffic control most of the time. And when there is air traffic control, it's probably during a world flight, and the Australians are the ones doing the air traffic control, so whatever. The other thing about Russia is that there's a lot of, you know, wide open space. Chris K saying the panel is mostly unserviceable. That's unfortunate. Old Spotter pointing out that I'm not on Unicom. Let's go back to Unicom. How much of the panel isn't serviceable, Chris? I know when I used to fly it, the artificial horizon was a bit sloppy sometimes. And for that reason it wasn't certified for IFR, which we're kind of skipping in and out of cloud now, so I might need to level off and go back down to 5,500 now that we think about it. Let's do that, pick up some speed, get below the clouds, get pointed in the right direction. The clock's never worked, man. That didn't work in Hotel Tango Mike's clock didn't work in 2012. I don't think it's ever been fixed in that whole time. I've never seen the clock work. I think it might have worked when they put the GTN in. When they put the GTN in, it must have been 14 or 15. About then, yeah. The Autopilot's never worked either. Well, it kind of works, not really. I know it can't do vertical. Can't maintain an altitude, so what's the point of having the Autopilot? Yep. I think the rest of it works, doesn't it? Direction works. Obviously this thing works, the turn coordinator. I'd imagine the VORs are working and the altimeters. Your tachos are working. I don't think the real Hotel Tango Mike, I don't even think it has a real EGT gauge. I think it's gone. It was never installed in the first place. No one looks at, no one even bothers with the fuel gauges. You're just meant to dip those. Ospotter doesn't know how to use the Autopilot. Let's talk about the Autopilot in the Cherokee. This is the most useless, stupid Autopilot in the world. So I'm going to set up a heading. which direction I want to go, that way. Okay, so the heading I'm going to set up is eastbound 090. I'm going to level the wings and will remain in this 500 foot per minute descent. Now I'm going to press this button here, which is right above that green light. Now firstly, to turn on the autopilot, you need to turn this master switch on. Then it'll go through a self-test, ding, and then all these lights will go off. Now it's ready to go. So the first thing you do is press the button in the top left of the autopilot panel, which is the turn coordinator. Click it once and it goes to ST, and ST means straight. So it's going to fly a straight line, not level, just straight. And then if you hit it again, it's HD, which is heading. So we're going to click on HD and we'll turn to that eastbound heading. It starts turning by itself, I'm not touching the controls. And it should turn itself back onto the heading. Done. Now it's flying the course, but it's not flying an altitude. If I pull up on the yoke, it'll just start climbing. Push forward on the yoke, it'll start descending. So the aircraft is holding a heading at the moment without holding an altitude. To hold an altitude, you need to come out to the actual panel and press the bottom button here, which is ALT. You might just be able to see it under there, or if you collapse it, it turns into that little spot there. But the bottom one, ALT, is altitude. And when you press that, the aeroplane will level off and maintain whatever altitude it happens to be at when it gets there. And if you want to climb or descend, you have to turn the altitude button off and then manually climb or descend with the yoke, just like we are right now for a descent. And then when you get to the altitude that you want, you probably level off a little bit, trim it out, and then hit that altitude button, and it will maintain that altitude. Here's the weird trick. The back of the aeroplane that we saw at the very beginning of the video, we have a stabilator. It's not a stabilizer, it's not an elevator. It's a kind of cross between the two. We only have one big surface, which is both a stabilizer and an elevator in one. So the aeroplane can't actually trim itself. It can, well, it doesn't have an autopilot system to trim this big thing up here. And so what will happen is the aeroplane will try to manipulate the controls forward and back like that with the elevator controls on the yoke itself until it can't get enough leverage. And when that happens, the autopilot will show up a little button here, up or down trim, with a little beeping sound in your headset, meep meep meep, with a flashing light up or down. And if it's up, you have to trim up with the lasso above your head to give the autopilot enough trim so that it can maintain altitude. In fact, I want to maintain 5,500 right now, so we'll start doing that. And we'll get to see this in action as we do it. So I'm just going to climb up again to 5,500. And I'm going to trim it myself so I can hold that altitude without any control forces, otherwise the autopilot won't be able to do it either. And once I'm in trim for 5,500, I come down here and press the autopilot button. Now we're on altitude. That blue light means that we're maintaining altitude, and now we get a little beepy sound from down because the airplane wanted me to trim down. Just for a moment there. I'm going to keep on accelerating, so to do that I probably need to trim to lean out or adjust my mixture at least. There we go. Mixture coming up, and as we accelerate, the aeroplane is requiring more down trim. So if you don't put in down trim, the autopilot won't be able to maintain level. The autopilot actually can't maintain 5,500 now, because it needs down trim. So I need to trim down with that trim up here for the autopilot to actually be able to maintain altitude for us. So yeah, Pipers are very weird. trimmed down a bit too much that time. So you need to monitor your own autopilot to make the autopilot be able to fly a course. Now we're flying towards our little magenta line here. We're going to intercept that at some point in the future, not sure when. There's Merimbula that we went to the other day, and the Snowy River behind us. Anyhow, once we intercept the magenta line towards Merimbula, we will probably want to follow that using the autopilot. So I'm going to go in and arm high mode, which means as we intercept that, the aeroplane will actually turn to intercept that line. Now if you leave it in low mode, the aeroplane will just kind of meander around 10 miles left or right of the track. So in low mode, 10 miles is close enough, according to the aeroplane. Wanting to move up, there we go. I really should direct to. Activating direct to, and now activating high mode. And the aeroplane will now turn off the heading to intercept the magenta line direct to Merimbula. ST mode, eh? Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So in ST mode it'll just, it kind of works like how the 737's control wheel steering mode works, CWS. So it'll maintain whatever, well, it'll roll to wings level firstly, and then if you add bank, it'll just maintain that bank that you add. So if you like start in ST mode wings level, introduce 10 degrees of bank, it'll just leave that 10 degrees of bank in forever. It's pretty cool. So now we can fly hands off. And that is how the autopilot works in a Piper Cherokee. I'm going to go ahead and have a look at our sky vector. And we need to be above 5,100. We're currently at 5,500. We are good. I think that might be the Monaro Highway. I'll just zoom in to have a look. We have roads, I think we do. Yep, that's Monaro Highway. Absolutely. Because that's the old railway line. In fact, oh, look at those town names. Wonderful. Jinkumbili. An old railway station. That's the old railway station just before Bombala. And that's Bombala that right there. YBOM. Bombala. Wonderful towns up here in the Monaro. Southern Highlands, I guess you could call it. I think we're even south of the Southern Highlands. Look at these wonderful pine forests. Just brilliant. This is all in FTX version 2. I don't think you get this kind of detail in version 1. Especially this kind of stuff with the open pine forests with trees being cleared away. That's heart-meltingly wonderful. I love it. I'm glad we came over this way. That's good. Ah, this must be you coming back, Ozspotter. I can can see an aeroplane 1,000 above me, coming straight at us. A great road to drive west on. I've only done the eastbound drive down the hill, which I liked because lots of braking involved. You had to put the brakes on all the time to maintain speed limit. Otherwise you'd just roll down the hill and gain speed and then fall off the end of the road. Bombala was quite fun. I did enjoy driving past Bombala. Seemed like a very nice sleepy town that I wouldn't mind going back to one day. Staying there for a weekend or something. Not sure what you'd do with Bombala. Go to the railway museum maybe? Check out the railway carriages that they got there? Then get bored and leave? I don't know. It's one of those kinds of places that you don't want to do on a time critical holiday. It's the kind of places that you just like, what will we do today in Bombala? Go down, have breakfast somewhere, and sleep all day in the cold. Jason McLennan in whatever you're flying at the moment. It's a Piper, another Piper Cherokee. That's true, the mountains do grow as you go over each rise. They get bigger and bigger as you go along. When you do it the other way around, you start off in the mountains, because the way I did it was on New Year's Day, 2000 and whatever it was, 18. Came out of Cooma and drove all the way down to Lakes Entrance. In fact, I drove all the way to Melbourne via Lakes Entrance and Orbost and all that stuff. Here's the edge of the mountains. From here we kind of fall off this little shelf straight into the coast flatlands. Jason in a Fokker F27. Chris McKeer, thanks for that. One motel. Is there any camping there? Or caravans or something like that on Bombala? It's not a place that I'm really used to. I'm just not used to this part of the world. Actually, I'm not well travelled in all. But yeah, the motels up in Cooma are pretty good. I like them. Jindabyne obviously a little bit more expensive. Bombala, it does seem a bit of a one-horse town with not much to do there. But things I'd like to do there I include seeing if there's any restaurants to eat in. I don't know if there are or not. Caravan park, camping ground, and yeah, that's about it really. And the railway museum. I don't know where FGS is. Let's have a look. It's not even in there. Okay. Why FGS? No. No idea. RSL business in Bombala. Interesting. Travel for business. That's one way to travel, but then it always feels so time constrained. Like you have to be there for a certain amount of time. You can't just kick around town doing nothing much for a day. Is that a road or just like a walking track thing? Might be a road. Might be a four-wheel drive road. I love these roads that kind of come off to the edge of the mountains and you can see this massive plain below you. That is very nice. "20 miles. We'll actually need to start descending soon, I think. Merimbula. Yeah, Merimbula, we have runway 03 and 12. Wind is from the north, I think, today. Just double check that. Yep, wind is 010 at 5 knots, so going to be passing into runway 03 off a left-hand circuit, which means we'll have to join on the downwind. Yep, should be fine. We'll fly over the lake into the downwind. Do we want to do a touch and go, or do we want to do a full stop landing? Current time 37. And we're at 44. CTAF is on 126.7. Weekend flight down to Bombala. That'd be an interesting one. It's a pretty rough looking field to my knowledge, but sure. Is it just dirt runway? Merimbula wouldn't be too bad. I'd do that. Almost did it with Arjun once. Had to back out at the last minute. Couldn't get the airplane. We were considering doing it in a Duchess, but we couldn't get it. So we did nothing instead. Traffic Merimbula. Papa Cherokee Hotel Tango Mike is inbound to Merimbula, runway 03, estimating circuit time 44, passing 13 miles to the west of the field. Hotel Tango Mike. Richmond to Merimbula. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd do that. Merimbula's a great looking place. In my previous job working at the DBCDE government call centre thing, we were running the conversion of Merimbula's television services from analog to digital, and they wanted to run both analog and digital concurrently at the same time, so they actually commissioned a new transmitter tower in Merimbula, somewhere near that hill over there. They were kind of doing a feasibility study and a imprint study on the transmission black spots compared to the analog signals, and when they made the proposition for the tower to be, I think it's going to be close to 200 foot tall from the ground to the top, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority came in and said, you can't build a tower that tall in that location because it is literally on the centre line of runway 03 at Merimbula. So yeah, they had to move the television tower. Instead of being on that hill right in front of us, they ended up having to put it in one of these hills over here. And they had to redo the entire study on where all of the black spots were going to be. It's hilarious. I think that even, like, the television channel, I can't remember who runs it down there, Win or something, had even purchased the land that the tower was going to be built on. They got to that point, and then CASA came in and said, no, you can't build a tower there. So that was quite fun reading that report. Fortunately, it didn't have much to do with what I had to do, so. Runway in sight. Not going to do engine failure after takeoff. At least I'm not going to do a return back. We might be able to do a in front of us look at for a simulated failure. Just to say, I would land there. Safe way of doing things. Yeah, there you are. Your F-27 has come up as a default 737 for me, I think. Traffic Merimbula. Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee is positioning for downwind, runway 03. Touch and go. Okay, brakes are released. Mixture fully rich. Undercarriage is fixed. Fuel is set to the fullest tank. Instrument is set. Seats and harnesses are secure. Bump fish complete. And QNH is 1023 down here, so I'll just tick it up. There we are. Done. Hello there to Menu, how are you doing? We are flying in Australia down to a little coastal beach town called Merimbula near Bateman's Bay, or even bigger. Traffic Merimbula, Hotel Tango Mike is downwind, runway 03, touch and go. Alexander wants us to do a gliding approach. From here? Why not? Glide approach set. $80 knots. Gonna get down to about 70. Traffic Merimbula Hotel Tango Mike, glide approach, runway 03, touch go. 70 knots. Keeping it in there. Who's JR? Ah, Jason. Cool. Yeah, I think I can extend a little bit more. Just to drop a bit of height. Go around the lake, I reckon. Pretty long runway. Rossi it is. Carb heat, thanks for that. Carb heat is set. Gonna run some flaps there. .65 knots. Plenty of runway. Touch around off them. Let's go. Carb heat is on. .110 feet per minute on the touchdown there. Not that it matters. And do another circuit. Fine. Traffic, Merimbula, Hotel Tango Mike, turning downwind, runway 03. Touch and go. Have that feeling that we might be doing a, you know, the right-hand circuit land. Probably, anyhow, straight over the rich areas of Merimbula. Traffic Merimbula, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee, downwind runway 03, touch and go. Carb heat's in. There's 70. Be a bit tighter this time. Quite a bit tighter this time. Might not even have time for flaps. This plane is not free. This plane is about $35 to $65 depending on which sim you want to put it in. Flaps 20 I reckon. $65 I want. There's a bit of height in that turn there. All good. Flaps 30. Carb heats away, flaps coming up. Traffic Merimbula, Hotel Tango Mike, Piper Cherokee is departing the field straight ahead towards Moruya. Hotel Tango Mike. Thanks for that, Chris. It's going slightly offshore here, tearing away from the town. Nah, we're not doing any silly stuff like turn engines off. That's a Russian trick. We don't do that in Australia. I'm sure someone does, but no instructor I've ever done has done that. We only turn the engines off when it really goes off. Carbureted at idle thrust is good enough for me. Anyway, we've got another town to get to. And I do intend to stay at low altitude this time, so I think 1,500 feet is about as far as I really wanted to go. See you, Chris. Have a good one. Boy, that we'd used to do engine failure at takeoff training and be kind of like dump it now and where are you going to land? Well, obviously I'm going to land on the beach, aren't I? That one right there. In fact, we can kind of scoop in a little bit, get down to about 500 feet, then we'll come on out. Now the idea is, are there people on the beach? All the P's. Are there people around? If there's people on the beach, you don't want to land on top of them. And you may in fact want to land in the water. We are a low wing aircraft, so we can float pretty well. There is a lagoon beyond it, which is a better looking landing site than the ocean, flatter. In fact, we might aim for that now. I'm looking for performance, so I need 70 knots. 70 knots will extend my glide as far as it can go. There's 70. Obviously, if we're going to land in that lagoon over there, we need to land fairly early in the lagoon. However, the beach looks reasonably good to me. Now, if you were to look down there and see a beach full of people, or that the beach was made out of dry sand or whatever, then you'd probably not want to land on it. Wet sand is doable, but the lagoon looks very inviting. But we're at 500 feet, carby heats away, full power. Once again, I think we'll climb to about 1,500. And I'll kind of track along the coast. Droid Pilot 15. I could say that I used to be a real pilot, but now I mostly play one on YouTube. In fact, I used to fly this exact call sign, Hotel Tango Mike, in a panel that looks very similar to this one. You can see on my channel. So if you go to my channel, my user channel on YouTube, Musical Aviator, some of the first lines will be me flying the real version of Hotel Tango Mike. It's the Piper Archer 2. They're the good old days of 2013, 14 and 15. That's nearly 5 years ago that since I last flew a real plane from the left-hand seat. Cool. I'm pretty happy and steady with the aeroplane. We don't need the autopilot running at all. We'll just leave it on trim. Gonna go into Merimbula and name the next town with my Google map. Money's a big factor of why I'm not flying at the moment. When I pay off my mortgage, I might. That'll be good. Okay, this next town is apparently called Moruya. This is Boulder Bay. McLennan's off at about 500 feet above us. We'll go back down to the altitude that I said I was going to be at. And we'll contour fly these beaches. This beach right here is Boulder Bay, and Moruya is the town. North of Moruya is Nelson Township, and that's the Nelson Lagoon coming up. This here is the bigger river. That's actually bigger. Where the cheese comes from. Touch and go standard. Another one that's quite fun to do was flapless approaches, although there's no point doing them in a Piper Archer because a Piper Archer can never lose its flaps unless they physically come off the aeroplane. Well, you can deploy flaps with no battery. It's just a counterweight that you pull. So I don't know why we even bother doing flapless approaches in one of these things, but anyhow. Flapless approach in a Piper Archer is 70 knots on the approach. That's the only difference. Add 5 knots and you're done. So leave Big Valley behind us. Coming up on Middle Lagoon. Middle, as in between. And Wapengo Creek coming up. So this here is Middle Lagoon, and that's Middle Island, which is in the middle of Middle Lagoon. The names of things that we come up with in Australia is hilarious. Another fun one that we do is the aborted takeoff. So you go down the runway till about half to roughly rotation altitude, and then you pull your power then, and you just abort onto the runway. Even if you become airborne, you just land again. These little aeroplanes, you can do that. We used to do that on runway center at Bankstown. It was pretty funny to go bundling down the runway at about 60 knots and then just pull the power to idle. Then bring the aeroplane to a nice smooth stop. There's Middle Island at Middle Lagoon. And Wapengo Creek. And the Wapengo Lake. Okay, this headland is Golan Head. G-O-A-L-E-N. Golan. And beyond that will be Bunga Lagoon. B-U-N-G-A. Bunga. Now this is mostly countryside. I've only been across once in my life on the Princes Highway, which is a fair way inland from here. I should do it again down the coast. I just find the coast road is a little bit more of a trudge because it's windy and there's more people on it. Up in the mountains there's less people, especially on the Moruya Highway. "24 minutes to our destination." Right over Golan Head right now. Yeah, the air-to-air aircraft. I do like the Beechcraft, the Bonanza. Very fast aeroplane compared to this one. However, I've flown HTM, the real one. Let's get me up on Facebook and see myself. There's something about simulating an aeroplane that you've physically flown in your real world that just makes you like it more, you know? So out of those three, the Piper, the Cessna and the Beechcraft, I'm enjoying this one the most, even though it's slow compared to most. And the reason for that is this. That's me flying Hotel Tango Mike. Well, that's me standing outside of Hotel Tango Mike. This is me flying Hotel Tango Mike. That's HTM, the real one. And yeah, it flies pretty well. Even in a 60-degree bank, like we were then. 2G turn. They're fun. That's another thing we can do, stalls and stuff. Let's do that from out here. 37, yeah, we can have from here. Stay away from that mountain. We'll go ahead and climb up to 2,500 so we can start some stalls. I'll do a clearing turn and then track inland a little into that space over there. I'm not really a fan of the Coronados. Ah yes, Alexander with his Yak 52. Registration RA0427 Golf. If you've flown it in the real world, then you want to fly it in the sim because, you know, a bit of patriotism for your own aeroplane at the end of the day. Cool. Just clearing it there. I'm sure you'll see us And we'll fly over these lagoons and stuff and do some 2Gs. That's true. Yeah, Coronado do the visuals pretty well, but A2A does the visuals and the physics and the systems, all three. There are three components to a really good airplane, and visuals is one of those components. How it flies as an aeroplane is one of those components, and how the systems inside the cockpit work is another one of those components. And A2A are just, you know, they work. They work properly. Alright, we're going to track inland a little bit, and we're going to do a clearing turn, and we're going to do some high G turns, which is 2 Gs, which means 60 degrees, and the reason for that is if you're flat, straight and level, you've got a 1 G pulling you down to the floor, just like if you're standing up in your own room in your house. Put on 10 Gs, put on 10 degrees of bank, and suddenly you're doing, I think it's, was it 1.3? I think each 10 degrees you go through, it increases exponentially. That's assuming you maintain altitude. I mean, if you went into 30 degrees angle bank and just let it flop down like that into a 10 degree, like 10,000 foot per minute descent, that's not 10, that's not a G, that's not 1.3 Gs. But what we're going to do now is going to look around, make sure that there's nothing around for us to hit, and we're going to do something that we should broadcast for on an area frequency. So we might have the area frequency here. There we are. Yep, south of there, so there's Bateman's Bay. And the area frequency is 121.2. Yep, 121.2. Yeah, that's correct. That's a standard coordinated turn. So it's 30 degrees angle of bank coordinated with the rudder will give you 1 tick. So that's your standard rate turn. And it'll take 2 minutes to do a full 360 degree circle. So right now we're doing a 360, and if we drop the rudder, for instance if I uncoordinate the turn, then you'll go outside of that like that. But if we keep the turn coordinated, which I'm just trying to get into, there it is, roughly there, then a full 360 in 2 minutes. That's not really a never exceed line, it's just a, this is your standard rate turn. And the autopilot will never go past a standard rate turn, it'll just do a standard rate turn forever. But we're about to exceed that. We're about to do that now. So, I'll drop this so I don't do that again. 121.2. There we are. As I overspeed the aeroplane in descent. Sorry about that. And what's our location again? Murray River, Nora Head. We're at Nora Head. Traffic near Nora Head. Hotel Tango Mike is a Piper Cherokee at 3,000 feet. Left hand turns. We'll be doing air work till time 20. That gives us 10 minutes to do air work. We're going to be doing some very, very tight left hand turns. We're going to reverse them into right hand turns. If you've ever had the opportunity to do a 2G turn in an aeroplane, I know it's not much, it's 2Gs, come on. But the funny thing is, if you manage to do it perfectly right in one of these aeroplanes, you will hit your own wake turbulence as you come through. So what I'm going to do is point my aeroplane directly at that hill. Going to set up my heading bug so it's pointing at the hill, roughly north. I'm going to look to the left, clear the wings, so I'll make sure I'm not looking at anything below me. Clear to the right so we don't hit anything over that direction. And we're going to go into a 60-degree turn to the left and maintain our altitude, and that will give us 2 G-forces. Feels a bit interesting if you do it in a real plane. Going up to full power, and here we go. Coordinate the turn, keep that turn going, keep it going, keep it going. Pull back, pull back, pull back on the yoke. Keep it going, more, 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 more. Pull back more, and there we go. We're halfway through the turn, we've got 2G. There is 2 Gs right there. Pull it up more, pull it up more, pull it up more. Keeping it going, keeping it going. And then roll out, try and catch the hill. Came out a little bit early, but we will reduce that power now. And that's a 2G turn. They're fun. Let's go the other way. Same thing, clear the aircraft, make sure there's nothing below us. Aim at the hill. Speed is 110, so I need a little bit more power as we enter the roll. We need to pull back as we pass through 30 degrees, and we need some rudder. And we hold 60 degrees, and we hold back until we get that spinning, maintaining altitude. That's 2 Gs right about there. Keep it in the 2G. And there's the hill, we can roll out. Cleared the traffic, is 200 above us, there he is. Just descend. $500 above us. You call it the aerobatic turn. We just call it the 2G turn because it delivers 2 Gs of G-force through the aeroplane, and if you coordinate it, it should feel like 2 Gs straight down through your spine. You really notice it if it's not coordinated because it makes you kind of slip out of your seat. So it's a good kind of technique to make sure that you're actually coordinating your turns properly. Otherwise you really feel yourself sliding sideways across the aeroplane. It's awful. Anyway, we are now going to do a U-turn, go back the direction we've come, and we're going to do some stalls. Just going to slow the aeroplane down until it doesn't want to fly anymore. We'll get the stall warning horn going, and then we'll recover. I think we'll do it from about there, just so we don't get too close to that hill. So facing in this direction now, that big hill over there. And I'm going to pull the power as if we're on approach to a runway or something. No flaps. 1500 RPM. Little bit of the carby heat. Actually, carby heat's off, and RPM is going to be about 1600. Just maintain a level flight. 1500 RPM, level flight. That's true. It is what they call it's no longer your utility aircraft. It has to be, yeah, you have to change the way that you're loaded. So you can't have unfettered bags when you do that kind of movement. So when you go out to do that kind of exercise, you tend to remove all the stuff out of the aeroplane apart from, you know, yourself and the fuel. Okay, we just want to keep on maintaining altitude. Dropping. There's the horning. Keep it going. Hold it up. Hold it up. Hold it up. And the airplane just doesn't want to stay there. It'll roll around. Now the Piper doesn't even really bite very much. It kind of rolled off axis a little bit, but that was it. You barely need any power to get out. And the plane will fight you. It'll bring its own nose down. Do it again. Level flight, level flight. Nothing that you do with the ailerons will do anything to the aeroplane. Look at that. When it's falling like that, the only control that you have is essentially the elevator and the rudder. So that's full throws of the thing. That's an easy way to enter a spin if you do it too much, but this aeroplane just doesn't like spinning. You want to do some spins? Alright, we can do that. The airplane doesn't like spins very much. It tends to avoid doing them. But if you chuck in some rudder, then it will. So we'll do that now. Once again, down to about 1600 RPM. Level flight. There's the stall coming in. And around the spin. That's always fun. That's insane. That was a very sloppy spin. I didn't like it very much at all. Let's do another one. That's more like it. Lost a lot of battery in that one. That was an even more sketchy spin, that one. Now that I've left my breakfast all over the roof, we'll go and head up to our final location that we're going to spend the week in the aeroplane, Moruya. Very nice scenery at Moruya. What's the time? 2-0. Traffic near Nora ahead. Hotel Tango Mike is vacating the area having finished area work. Hotel Tango Mike. Yeah, if you're losing 150 feet in a spin, it's only one, isn't it? Really, realistically. Might not even be in a full spin. But yeah, just stalling. Stalling in a Piper Cherokee is one of the easiest things to do because it just doesn't want to spin. You almost have to aggravate the spin purposely to make it happen. Otherwise it'll just sit there and flop its nose down. Can't even make it lose altitude. Even if you try. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And it just dumps the nose into the ground. They're nice aeroplanes to fly, actually. I think that the setup with the wings at the bottom of the aircraft, sitting like that, with a beautiful anhedral, it just makes the plane fly a lot nicer than the Cessnas do, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to switch fuel tanks now. Fuel pump goes on. Tank to the right. Wait a couple of seconds. And fuel pump goes off. Yeah, agreed. I haven't actually flown a DA20, but I know the Cherokee, all the low-winged Pipers have, they just kind of don't like, well, they don't mind stalling, they just don't care about it. It's like, oh, you want us to stall? That's fine, we'll just put the nose down for you. And you pull on like as far back as you can get all the control authority that you have, and it just is nosing down as you pull up. It's just an easy aeroplane to fly. "28 miles out from our destination." That's the other good thing about a low-winged airplane like the Cherokee, is that you can look out over the wings even when you're turning. You can't see straight down like you can in the Cessna, but you don't often look straight down when you're flying. I mean, maybe if you're doing an overhead pass of an airfield that might be useful, but no. Diamond 40s are one that I've seen a little bit of. They're not bad little airplanes. 20 is a bit smaller than that, so it's, yeah, it's a very small airplane, the 20 Katana. There used to be an Aerosoft DA20. I wonder if that's available. Might be worth getting. Wonder if it's with P3D yet or not. Ah, it's a couple around. WS Simulation do a Diamond DA20 Eclipse. I'll have to research that. Might add another airplane to our list of GA aeroplanes. Diamond DA20. You bring up a good airplane. Looks good. I like it. Yeah, Jason, I did fly the DA60. 62 actually. 62. Yeah, it looks like it's only a P3D version 3 at the moment. You might be right about that. Anyway, I'll have to look into other airplanes available for V4 because yeah, getting a couple of extra airplanes never hurt anyone. I believe this might be Bateman's Bay. Or is it Bermagui? Might be Bermagui. Narooma? I've gotten lost. Oh well. But I can pick up from the river. Ross River? Wallagra Lake, almost certainly. It's the right shape for Wallagra Lake. Including the island out there and the big spit out there. Fairview on top of the mountain. Yep, that's Wallagra Lake. Got it. Cool. Yeah, I didn't get the Coronado DA62, I got the Vertex one, which I like a little better. But yeah, much. Apparently the Vertex one has an issue with the ground handling. It's a little bit too sticky on the ground, whereas the Coronado is a normal Coronado product. Don't worry, P3D can crash as well, as we saw today. Not just FSX that crashes, it's anything that runs on a PC. At the end of the day, Microsoft crashes. So Mystery Bay coming up after that point there. Should make the next big lake Cornubia Lake, and this one thinking is Tiba Lake. With Little Lake just behind it there. This is Cuttagy Lake. Cuttagy? It's not the right shape for Cuttagy. It does have this feature though, that looks pretty cool. $14 miles out, we'll make a call to Moruya. Is that Turos Head? coming up. Could be. Time in circuit 39. We need Moruya. I haven't tuned it up. We'll be landing runway 36, 126.7. Set. Traffic Moruya. Hotel Tango Mike is a Piper Cherokee inbound from the south, 12 miles. Estimate circuit time 40. Hotel Tango Mike. In Australia, I think the most popular is going to be the 172. The second most popular is the Piper Archers. And I think the diamonds are getting more and more popular these days. I'm starting to see diamond 40s quite a lot, especially around Bankstown. So they're the big three, I'd imagine, at the moment. Is your Cessna 172 is the most common. Possibly the 152 used to be, but I think 172s are more common these days. But the high wing Cessna is singles, so Cessna 152 or 172. Not sure which one's more common these days. Certainly the Piper Cherokee or the Piper Archer, more to the point, is also a very common aeroplane. One of the big flight schools down in Moorabbin almost exclusively use Piper Archers and Piper Arrows for retractable big air kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of diamonds floating around Bankstown, but that's mostly because one of the big schools at Bankstown in Sydney, the largest GA training airfield in Australia. One of the couple of the schools up there are now using Diamond 40s or Diamond 20s. 40s, 40s. I've seen other ones as well. Aquilas, that was a weird one that I saw once out of Perth, Jandakot. And what's another one that's silly? The Foxbat, Aerobat thing. They're always painted yellow. That's more of a, not a private pilot license kind of thing. It's more of a recreational license. There's a big recreational license school out of Moorabbin here in Melbourne that use I think they're called Foxbats. Never actually flown one before, but they're pretty funky looking. Yeah, that's it. Aeroprakt A22 Foxbat, Ukrainian two-seat high-wing tricycle landing gear ultralight aircraft. And there's a load of them floating around at Moorabbin these days. But for the most part in Australia, you're still going to find your Cessna 172s and your Piper Archers doing the brunt load of work. We're 7 miles out. Currently runway 36, and it's a left-hand circuit as standard. We'll join in from the dead side and cut across. Technim. Yeah, not too bad. Let's have a look at that. P2002 Technim, eh? It should be at 1,500 because we're joining on the dead side. Ah, they're pretty good looking airplanes actually. Yeah, very nice. Two-seat Technim. Yes. They do look a little bit plastic, those Fox mats. And I did like the name drop there. Soar Aviation. The yellow ones. Traffic, Moruya, Hotel Tango Mike is 1500. We'll be joining from the dead side of the field, runway 36, full stop. Hotel Tango Mike. The beaches here are wonderful, apparently, and the river. Take your beach towel and that's it. Is that the idea? Is there any good boating on that river? In many, many months' time, we'll be up near a place called Tin Can Bay. And apparently, like, there's a very large population of people that live on boats in the bay, up in Tin Can Bay, which I found to be hilarious. Not sure if that's the case here in Moruya, but it's a very nice looking little bay here, isn't it? Look at that. That's the airfield right there. Traffic Moruya, Hotel Tango Mike is 1300. On the dead side of the field, we'll be transitioning into the downwind runway 36 from overhead. Hotel Tango Mike. Always look into the live side of the circuit as you come across before you start the descent into the circuit. One last look. All good. Traffic Moruya, Hotel Tango Mike is 1500, descending into the downwind leg, runway 36, Hotel Tango Mike. Okay, brakes are released, undercarriage is fixed, mixture is fully rich, fuel is set to the max side, seats and harnesses are secure. This is the most dangerous part of the circuit. About right there. Traffic Moruya, Hotel Tango Mike, turning base, runway 36. Carver heats in. Ten degrees flat. Take 20. Traffic Moruya, Hotel Tango Mike is final runway 36 Moruya. There's all the flaps. Scenery link for Moruya should be in my description. It's a independent guy that used to work for OZX, but OZX is dead. And I agree, it looks amazing. .65 knots, a little bit of power in. Pull back on the yoke because you get that little rattling if you put in the brakes. Ever had that wheel shimmy if you put in too much brake without the yoke back? That's always fun. Back to 1000 RPM. Carb heat is out. Traffic Moruya Hotel Tango Mike is backtracking runway 36. That's the NDB. I'll show you a couple of the things that are in the aeroplane when we park it up. Here's a couple of things that are in the virtual cockpit that are in the real cockpit as well, of the real Hotel Tango Mike that, well, to say that owning this helped me find these other little tricky little things. Mostly to do with air vents. Traffic Livery, Hotel Tango Mike, vacated runway 36. Transponders standby. This is not Orbix, this is OZX. This is free, completely freeware scenery that you're seeing here. That's India, November. That's a Cessna 182 that I've actually got in my A2A fleet. In that livery. As a static object. That would have been hilarious. To change aeroplanes right there. But we're not going to. Instead we're going to put on the parking brake. We're going to set up 1,000 feet, 1,000 RPM. Just going to do a quick check on the mags. Not convinced. Believe it. And we'll close the window here. So what we're looking at is this little vent. I probably should have done it airborne, but if you open up this vent here, the wind noise gets louder in the aeroplane, in the VC, when you're flying around. We'll do that next week. But yeah, open up, close up, and you can actually aim the vent towards your face or towards your legs or whatever. So open it up and then you can twist this thing around so it blows up towards you or over to the panel to bounce it off there, straight at your feet. There's another one on the other side as well. Now normally when you're sitting in the aeroplane, your legs kind of are forward of that position, so it's actually underneath essentially your thighs. It's a bit awkward to get to. Anyhow, we'll open up the aeroplane here and get ourselves out. And we'll twist this thing down again. A lasso. Neutraled. There's the key. And there we are on the flight line. Time to tie it down. Drop the pilot out and we'll do the old control thingy. Don't know why I was walking, but there you go. Bit more on the left than the right, that's okay. Where's that little thing? There it is, cool. So doors closed, empty aeroplane, pilot cover, tie downs, and the wheel chocks are in. Finally got him to stop walking. Cool. And there we are. Moruya in New South Wales. Wonderful little scenery, wonderful little town. And I'm sure we'll visit this next week by walking around the airfield. A little bit more up close to the township and the water and the terminal over there. Actually, let's walk over there now since we can. Airplane's tied down, airplane's ready to spend the night here in Moruya. We won't see India November for quite some time. And he has unfortunately developed the habit of walking around and around and around. Don't know how to stop him. Damn. That's disorientating. Kind of responds to the yoke, but not really. There we go. So Moruya, I think next week we'll be taking Hotel Tango Mike over to Canberra, and the week after that we'll be taking it down to Young maybe, or maybe Tumut. We'll see. A little bit of stuff I need to look at before that happens. Until then, welcome to Moruya Airport, the Eurobadella, Naturo Coast. I've been Music Aviator, and I will see you guys next time, probably for Milk Run. Till then, catch ya.